All right, so this is going to be a review of Creed 3. It just came out. It's directed by Michael B. Jordan. I'll say how I feel about it in a second. As far as the rest of the series, I really like that first one. It's been a while, though. And I just watched the second one yesterday in preparation for this. For whatever reason, I just didn't feel like seeing it when it came out. And I love that one, right? Even more than the first one, from what I remember, because I really like the whole thing with Drago and Drago's son, and there's some really powerful moments between Adonis and Rocky that I really liked. Those were my favorite parts of the movie. And just like the first one, at least from what I remember, the fight scenes were amazing. So as far as this one, it starts off with Adonis having his last fight before he ends up retiring. And I believe he was fighting the guy that he fought in the first movie. Like I said, it's been a while. I believe he's having the rematch with that guy because he lost to him before in the first movie. So he ends up winning that fight, and then he ends up retiring. Some years go by, and he's mostly training the next generation of fighters, and he's more of a family man now. So he ends up meeting back up with somebody he used to know, somebody from his past, Damien, played by Jonathan Majors, and they were really close, like they were like brothers, turns out. And Damien was a boxer too, and he was actually really good at it. He was kind of a rising star at that point. He had a bright future in boxing. So now that he's back, he feels like, though that time was taken away from him and his shot was taken away from him, so he wants to be a boxer, again, and gain what he feels like he should have gained if it wasn't for prison. So he ends up fighting, he ends up winning, and so now he's being real antagonistic towards Adonis because they have bad blood based on what actually happened back then and why he went to jail. As a result of that, Adonis has to train back up again, even after he's been in retirement for a number of years, so that they can settle their bad blood and everything in the ring. I love this movie too. The second one, I think, is still a little bit better, and I think there's one major thing that I'm missing from this movie that keeps it from being as good or me liking it as much as I did the second one. But man, the filmmaking is so good. Like they definitely stepped it up in this one, where especially in the ring, especially when it comes to the boxing, it puts you right into the action, right? I usually don't like a bunch of slow-mo, but here it's done really well with certain slow-mo that they use for certain punches, and it really is exciting, right? You feel every punch, and I remember there was a point somebody got punched and you see the sweat come off their body, and it is great. I mean, pretty much the whole movie is shot really well. Color palette, things like that. It's shot very dynamically. It feels more cinematic this time around than those other two. So that's definitely something. The score is still really good, just like the other ones. Really gets you hype at certain moments, gets you excited for the actual fights, especially the final one. The performances by everybody, pretty much, but especially Michael B. Jordan and Jonathan Majors. I mean, they build them up so much because you have to have the audience believe that they have this history, right? You have the flashbacks and things like that, but you have to feel it from these two actors and from the characters, and they do a really good job of that. Like when they interact, like early on, you can feel the respect and love that they have for each other, but there's always that underlying thing where it's like, this is about to turn bad, isn't it? Because of certain things that haven't been revealed, and they reveal certain parts of it, like, a little at a time before finally showing the whole picture. And that was really, really good. But because they build it up so much, because you feel it from these characters, and it's so believable, by the time it gets to that final fight, you're at the edge of your seat. I mean, it's that exciting. You see the point of view from both people. You see what emotions they're coming into the fight with, and it makes it just that much better to watch. I mean, it's so entertaining, and there's so much drama behind it that it really is just these two and their relationship right there in the ring. I mean, it is just so good. There's a moment, you feel every punch. There's a moment where they both hit each other at the same time, and in that moment, it's perfect. It shows just the relationship and everything, the entire theme between these two throughout the whole movie, just in that moment. It's great. So as far as negatives, and I only have two, and one of them is kind of big, at least for me, and one of them is a smaller one. The smaller one is, at certain points, especially something that happens with Drago, it feels like the script is kind of forcing certain things. Like, it doesn't feel natural. feels like, hey, we need this to happen, so it's just gonna happen. So yeah, especially that moment, but other moments too, it feels like, well, we need this for the story to keep going and things like that. So that's one thing. But the big thing for me, at least, that puts this below Creed 2 for me is the absence of Rocky, right? Right. This is a spin-off of the Rocky films, right? And we obviously still make mention of Rocky and Apollo Creed and things like that, obviously. So it feels like there's a hole missing from this movie, right? It's just weird to not see Rocky in Adonis's corner. It's weird. You've gotten me so invested in their relationship, especially in that second one where he loses at first without Rocky there, and when Rocky's there, in the climax, that's what helps really push him over the edge. So it's weird not seeing Rocky there in his corner. It's just, and they could have made it work a little bit more if they would at least say why he's not around. Is he dead? That I know of, they didn't mention why he's not around. I think Sylvester Stallone might have made a video or something saying why he's not in here. I didn't see it. I didn't watch it. But it is weird. It feels like there's a hole in the movie. They had such great chemistry and so many powerful moments, especially in that second one for me, that without him here, it just doesn't it almost doesn't feel right. It just there's something missing, and that's what it is. But that's it. I loved that second one after just seeing it yesterday. And I love this one too. The second one has a bit of an edge over this one, but this one's still really great. The performances, great, especially by Michael B. Jordan and Jonathan Majors. You really feel the antagonism between the two, but also the love and respect that they have based on their history and what they've been through. And you see it all during their fight, and their fight is so creative. The filmmaking is the best of the series here, and it's just so exciting. It gets you right there in the ring with those two, and there's just so much drama between them, and it's built so well that it really does feel like so much more than a fight when it gets down to it. It is really great, really great. Not the best in the series for me, but still really great. So I'm going to give this a beyond awesome. It's the best movie I've seen of the year so far. It'll most likely make my best list by the end of the year, but we'll see. And that's it. That's Creed 3. Subscribe, and we're done.